top videos in 2023 was an analysis of VA's proposed changes to the rating schedule for mental health conditions, for tinnitus, and for sleep apnea. And these changes would impact millions of claims. So there has been a lot of discussion about those diagnostic criteria rating changes. VA has in the past modified proposals based on public comment. So it'll be interesting to see what, if anything, they do here. So we're going to show a few clips of thoughts we had in 2023 and let you know what, if anything, has changed since then. And for the full video, you can check out the description below, and we'll link the video so you can get to it easily from here. So let's take a look.
On February 15th, VA announced some proposed changes to the VA schedule for rating disabilities, specifically pertaining to the rating systems for conditions within the respiratory, auditory, and mental disorder body systems. In particular, the changes are going to impact veterans seeking disability benefits for sleep apnea, tinnitus, and, like we mentioned before, those mental health conditions. According to VA, at least, these changes would incorporate medical advancements for treating certain disabilities and incorporating modern medical knowledge with the goal of more accurately compensating veterans for their conditions. It's important to note from the beginning that these changes are not going to impact veterans who are currently rated under the old system. And by and large, it won't affect veterans who have active claims pending. That being said, it could affect future claims, which is why we wanted to go over that information with you.
So it's been 3.5 years since VA proposed these changes. The first question everyone has right now, has VA announced the implementation date for these changes? Are we any closer to these being enacted?
We are not. Well, as of September 2025, the changes, there's been no implementation and no announcement as to when that will happen. We still do expect it to happen sometime in maybe late fall or winter of 2025 into 2026. But it's possible that this could get pushed into, summer or even later. It's hard to say. But one thing that we do know is that if and when these implementations do take place, there will be a 60-day notification window. So that's going to be a grace period where veterans will have time to basically get anything filed they want to file before the implementations take place. And that's super important because if you do file a claim before these implementations take place, then the more favorable version of the law will apply to you.
That's right. So if the old criteria is a better fit for your condition and you've been thinking about filing a claim for mental health condition, for tinnitus, for sleep apnea, particularly for sleep apnea, you might want to get your claim in now. So here's another excerpt from our 2023 discussion.
Currently, if you have sleep apnea and your doctor has prescribed and you use a CPAP machine, you're going to get a 50% rating for that disability. That's irrespective of whether it helps your sleep apnea, you don't have any other symptoms or anything like that. But this is not going to be the case if these proposed rule changes, are final and actually become how they now rate sleep apnea. So with the proposed changes, a veteran would get a 0% rating for asymptomatic sleep apnea. So that's even if the symptoms are fully treated and asymptomatic because of use of a CPAP. So this is different than how the schedule works now. So then under the proposed change, the ratings would increase based on how symptomatic the condition remains after the treatment. So veterans would be able to get a rating of a 10% or higher only when the treatment is either ineffective or the veteran is unable to use the prescribed treatment due to a comorbid condition.
So over 2,000 people commented on this proposed reg change, most of it disagreeing with the proposal. But as we noted, there is no action to date from VA. But this is not surprising considering that right now you get a 50% rating if you have a CPAP that you need to use for service-connected sleep apnea, which can be a huge boost to a veteran's overall combined rating. So I am not surprised there's a lot of outcry about this proposed reg change.
Absolutely. That 50% really does help change a combined rating as far as VA math is concerned.
These proposed changes would not affect veterans who are currently receiving ratings for their tinnitus. But under the proposed schedule changes, veterans who are diagnosed with tinnitus would need to meet a higher standard, essentially, in order to receive levels of disability compensation, higher levels of disability compensation. VA officials have noted that these changes would likely reduce the number of veterans qualifying for disability ratings of 10% or more. Although this wouldn't affect veterans who are currently receiving those ratings, this is something that we see really commonly that veterans experience. And so it will be a significant shift if these proposed changes.
Yeah, so there's also been a lot of negative feedback on these changes as well, both from veterans and advocates. But there's no indication either way as to whether these critiques are really going to change VA's implementation or plans to implement these changes.
Absolutely.
So first and foremost, the new proposed rules for mental health conditions would increase the minimum disability rating from 0% to 10%. So it's no longer going to be possible to get a non-compensable rating for a mental health diagnosis. The rule would also get rid of a dated part of the schedule for rating disabilities that prevents a veteran from getting a 100% rating if they're able to work. There are plenty of veterans out there who are able to work in some capacity or another, but ultimately have such severe symptoms that they should be getting a scheduler 100% rating. But because they don't have total occupational impairment under the current diagnostic code, it just is completely ruled out for veterans like that. In addition to those changes, rather than assigning an evaluation based on the number and type of symptoms, VA is implementing a new set of criteria to evaluate mental disorders based on their impact, like we talked about before, and specifically that impact on 5 domains of impairment. Those new 5 domains are cognition, interpersonal interactions, relationships, task completion, life activities, and navigating environments, and finally self-care.
Okay, so the public reaction for the mental health proposals have been more nuanced than for sleep apnea and tinnitus. We've had heard a lot of anxiety from clients and from others that these changes might negatively impact them, but there's also some good arguments for how they could improve mental health ratings overall and access to care, because depending on your level of service connection, what you're rated at, you get maybe a better access to healthcare, depending on that combined rating. So some of the more negative common complaints we've heard are, why make these changes now? This might end up making the process just more convoluted and complicated for veterans. It's complicated enough. Worries about compensation and pension exams, which we've talked about being not so great as of late. The new criteria might make it even all the more confusing for C&P examiners. And so, that's a real concern. However, we think it's likely that these changes could result in many veterans seeing ratings more accurately reflect their level of impairment and even over higher rating than what they'd be assigned under the current mental health criteria. So we're just going to have to wait and see what VA does. I felt like we've expected these changes every year. Again, we're expecting them this fall or early next year, but you just don't know what VA is going to do until they announce that they're going to do it.
Absolutely. And it's kind of, in a way, it's a good thing that we have a bit of a warning that these things are a long lead up for this warning, because it's all the more reason just to get your claim filed now if you have one, if you have a viable claim. As we mentioned, whichever version is more beneficial to you would apply if you have your claim in before the changes take place.
That's right. So if you have any further questions about this topic, check out the video we link below. We have some other videos about these proposed changes and our website for more information.